Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. So, we'd like to seek your good wishes, your blessings, so that we can continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 61. Yesterday, we discussed about Rukmini and Krishna's conversation with her, where he was joking with her and certainly gave her a bit of a shock. Yeah, but then she recovered very well and counteracted everything he said in terms of he was being negative on himself, but she turned everything into glorification of himself. So this is what a devotee does, always glorifies the Lord in every situation. So this is second verse of chapter 61.
Grihadanapangam vikshya raja putryochitam stitam prestam nyamam sataswam swam natat tatta vidhashriya. Translation: because each of these princesses saw that Lord Achyutya never left her palace, each thought herself the Lord's favorite. These women did not understand the full truth about him.
They were in Maya, but of course, this is Krishna's Maya that he covers them in. So this is not ordinary Maya. These personalities are great devotees of the Lord. They are eternally liberated. So because they're always with the Supreme Lord. So let's see what the context is. Balaram slays Rukmi. So this chapter lists Krishna's sons. Okay. Grandsons and other progeny. It also describes Balaram killing Rukmi at Aniruddha's marriage ceremony and how Lord Krishna arranged for his sons and daughters to be married. Because in the previous chapter, Sukadeva Goswami made reference to Rukmi being killed, and Parikshit Maharaj was inquisitive about that. But before that, each of Lord Krishna's wives gave birth to 10 sons who were not less than their father, having all his personal opulence, notwithstanding the full truth about Sri Krishna. Each of the wives thought that since he remained constantly in her palace, she must be his favorite wife. So this is the potency the Lord has. He can be one, he can be many at the same time, and he can relate with every single devotee on a one-to-one personal basis. He did that when the Gopas would feast with him in the forest. Each Gopa was thinking, Krishna's only with me. He's enjoying my company, I'm enjoying his company. But actually, factually, he was with every Gopal. So similarly, he was in every palace, and each queen thought, Krishna's only with me, so I must be his favorite. They were all entranced by the Lord's beauty and his loving conversations with them. But they could not agitate his mind with the charming gestures of their eyebrows or by any other means. Having attained as their husband, Lord Krishna, who even demigods like Lord Brahma find it difficult to know in truth, the Lord's queens were always eager to associate with him. Yes, Naniben?
Yes, I just want to understand a little bit better about a sentence that they could not agitate his mind with the charming gestures of the eyebrows, etc. What does that mean, Prabhuji?
He was always fixed. He was never attached, if you like, to them. One of his 6 opulences, isn't it? Beauty, fame, wealth,
strength, knowledge, and
renunciation. So that he's always renounced. Like you were saying yesterday about how he's not attached. He doesn't have a favorite queen. They're all his favorite. So in the same way, he's not attached to any of the queens. So that's what that basically means. They could not agitate him. He was always fixed and steady.
And other thing is, all the children that he had with each of his, they were all sort of by transcendental appearance, isn't it? Not by nothing, because with Krishna, nothing is material, and
he's material.
not that how we understand.
Correct. That's correct. And they're all effectively, they're all part and parcel of Krishna. They're all, I don't know if they were all Vishnu Tattva, but they would be in that sort of category. They were part of God, part of the Supreme. So, and then they had their own children as well, 10. It was a huge family. I think there was one daughter as well with each of the queens as well. So,
I didn't know that. Okay.
One daughter is equal to 10 sons.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Although each of them had hundreds of maidservants, they would personally render him menial service, such as offering him a seat, worshipping him with excellent paraphernalia, bathing, massaging his feet, giving him pan to chew with flower garlands, dressing his hair, arranging his bed, bathing him, presenting him with various gifts. So they wanted to do everything for the Supreme Lord, even though they had their own servants who could do everything. But they loved him so much. They were so attached. Each of Krishna's wives had 10 sons, who in turn fathered many sons and grandsons. So in the womb of Rukmi's daughter, so Rukmi, the older brother of Rukmini, Rukmavati, Padumna fathered Aniruddha. So Padumna was the first son of Krishna to Rukmini, and he fathered Aniruddha. Though Sri Krishna had disrespected Rukmi, to please his sister, Rukmi gave his daughter, Rukmavati, in marriage to Padumna, and also his granddaughter to Aniruddha. Bali, the son of Kritavarma, married Rukmini's daughter, Charumati. I haven't had a chance to analyze all this, but anyway. Then we go into a whole load of names. I don't know if we want to repeat these names. Do we?
Okay.
Go on.
I can try. Okay, so the first son of Queen Rukmini was Pradumna, followed by Charudeshna, Sudeshna, Charudeha, Suchara, Charugupta, Bhadracharu, Charuchandra, Vicharu, and Charu. And then for Satyabhama was Bhanu, Subhanu, Swarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrabhanu, Brihadbhanu, Atibhanu, Sri Bhanu, and Pratibhanu. And for Jambavati, it was Samba, Sumitra, Purujit, Satyajit, Sahasrajit, Vijaya, Chitraketu, Vasuman, Dravida, and Kratu. For Nagnajiti, was Veera, Chandra, Aswashena, Chitragu, Vegavan, Vrisha, Amma, Shanku, Vasu, and Kunti. For Kalindi, it was Shruta, Kavi, Vrisha, Veera, Subahu, Bhadra, Shanti, Darsha, and Purnamas. For Madra, it was Pragosh, Gatravan, Simha, Bala, Prabhala, Odaga, Mahashakti, Saha, Oja, and Aparajit. So
that's 6 wives. Only another 16,102 to go.
So Mitravinda's sons were Vrika, Harsha, Anila, Gridhara, Vardhana, Unada, Mahamsha, Pavana, Vahini, and Shuddhi. And for Bhadra, Shangra Majit, Brihatsena, Shura, Praharana, Arijit, Jaya, and Subhadra, and also Vama, Ayur, and Satyaka.
Whew. Can you imagine trying to remember everybody? Anyway, Lord Krishna's son Padumna fathered the greatly powerful Nirud in the womb of Rukmavati, the daughter of Rukmini. O king, this took place while they were living in the city of Bojokta.
Haribol,
Yes.
what about the birth dates? Birthday parties.
Party. So don't mention the word party to Mr. Boris Johnson. So no parties allowed.
I don't think Karuna knows what you're talking about.
So King Parikshit, he then inquires, how could Rukmi give his daughter to his enemy's son? After all, Rukmi had been defeated by Krishna in battle and was waiting for an opportunity to kill him. So Sukadev Goswami said, at her Swayamvar ceremony, Rukmavati herself chose Padumna, who was the embodiment of Cupid. Then, although he fought alone on a single chariot, Padumna defeated the assembled kings in battle and took her away. Though Rukmi always remembered his enmity towards Lord Krishna, who had insulted him, in order to please his sister, he sanctioned his daughter's marriage to his nephew. So then Bali, the son of Kritvarma, he married Rukmini's younger daughter, Charumati. Rukmi gave his granddaughter, Rochana, to his daughter's son, Anirudh. Despite Rukmi's relentless feud with Lord Hari, although Rukmi considered this marriage irreligious, he wanted to please his sister, bound as he was by the ropes of affection. So then, what happened at the wedding? At Aniruddha's wedding, Lord Balaram, Sri Krishna, and other Yadavas went to Rukmi's palace in the city of Bojakata. After the ceremony, Rukmi challenged Baladev to a game of dice, because he was thinking that Baladev is not really proficient in playing dice. So he challenged him, encouraged by all the Shishupal and other kings who were present there. So in the first match, Rukmi defeated Baladev, whereupon the king of Kalinga laughed at the Lord, displaying all his teeth. Lord Baladev then won the next match, but Rukmi refused to concede defeat and tried to cheat Baladev. Balaram accepted a wager of 100 million gold coins, which he also fairly won. So there were big numbers here involved. But Rukmi again resorted to cheating and declared that I have won. Let these witnesses here say what they saw. A voice then spoke from the sky announcing that Baladev had in fact won. But Rukmi, encouraged by the wicked kings, offended Lord Baladev by saying that while he was certainly expert at tending cows, he knew nothing of playing dice. Thus insulted, Lord Baladev angrily struck Rukmi dead with his club. So this is Balaram getting angry, and there's Krishna in the background with Rukmini. Thus insulted, he struck him on the head, killed him. The king of Kalinga tried to flee, but Lord Balaram seized him and knocked out all his teeth, because he's shown his teeth earlier. Then the other offensive kings, their arms, thighs, heads, wounded by Baladev's blows, fled in all directions, bleeding profusely. Now, Sri Krishna, he expressed neither approval nor disapproval of his brother-in-law's death, fearing that he would jeopardize his loving ties with either Rukmini or Baladev. So he stayed silent. Baladev and the other Yadavs then seated Aniruddha and his bride on a fine chariot, and they all set off for Dwarka. So this was one heck of a wedding party. That's the end of this chapter 61. Any questions, any comments? Unusual chapter. Yes, Rian.
Prabhuji, Balaram was the brother of Krishna, and how could Balaram play gambling, as gambling is considered as cheat?
Indeed. Well, he's the Lord. He can do anything he wants. He's allowed. The rules don't apply to him. And also, he was challenged by Rukmi to play. And Kshatriyas, when they're challenged, they can't resist a challenge. And it's almost considered cowardly if they don't meet the challenge. So Balaram, as we know, is no coward. Bal means strong. So he took the challenge from Rukmi. And although, you could argue he wasn't so good at playing dice, but yet Balaram still conquered Rukmi. But then Rukmi decided to cheat, and that's when Balaram gave him a good thumping. Is that okay?
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Good question, Riyansh. Yes, Nariman.
There's a thing that we should not taunt other people, isn't it? It hurts down to the core. And that's what Rukmi has done before and is doing it again now, insulting other people, which is not the thing. So this is something that we can learn as well.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. There's no need to mock others because we have so many of our own faults,
Yes, exactly.
Let's focus on that and then worry about others' problems, others' faults.
I don't know why we forget that in this material world. Everybody, we want everybody else to be perfect, but we are not perfect. Others have to be 100%.
Yeah, we're very forgiving for ourselves, but on others, we're not forgiving. Very, very true.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. But luckily, as you're saying, going through the scriptures, it does help us sort of understand a little bit better that let's not worry too much what others' downfalls are. Let's worry about our own downfall. And we got plenty of them, so keep ourselves busy.
That is what scriptures tell us, because if it's happening when Krishna was present, in presence of Krishna, then what can we think of ourselves in this Kali Yuga?
Yeah.
So there's a lesson for us to learn from all these chapters and our scriptures.
Yeah, that's true. And it shows the humility of Krishna and Balaram. When they come, they don't, advertise themselves. They stay in the background. They sort of stay hidden, their opulence remains hidden. This is their humility.
One thing I was reading, and I'm reading chapter 1 now of Bhagavatam. And and I think what inspires is that not chapter 1, generally when you're speaking about Krishna's avatars, that he can be in animal form, he can be in a sort of a fish form, a reptile form. But for us to understand all this, it must be hard. And also, when he manifests himself in the human form, doing all these other things, when we see him, we cannot comprehend that he is Krishna, he is the Lord, unless we put the feeling within our mind.
Yeah, correct. It's very difficult, absolutely right.
Very difficult to comprehend these activities. That's what is said in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Foolish people deride him when they see him. But I think that's very true, actually.
Yeah, it is. Avajananti mamuda, he says it.
Yes.
Yeah. Foolish deride me when I descend in this human form. Very true. Very true. No, it's a good point, Nanivan. Good point. And even trying to understand his other forms is very, very incomprehensible. Taking the form of a boar, fish, and he shows his humility. He'll take form in all of the different species.
Yeah, and I think that is his inconceivable nature we have to understand as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And we consider pig to be the dirtiest animal.
Yeah.
Boar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Haribol,
Yeah, I like.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, Haribol. I like the bit when Rukmi actually insults Balaram and says, "You're a coward. Boy. What do you know about playing with the dice?"
Yeah.
They don't understand these personalities. Obviously, they're opulent. They're kings. They can have so much opulence. And Krishna, his opulence. But yet, yesterday we found how he was putting himself to Rukmani, like, "Why did you marry me? I got nothing. Beggars only come to me," and all that sort of way, But obviously, the Lord is so opulent in Dwarka, though. But he prefers to be, and obviously, the Brajvasis and the Gopis and Radharani, and they just love him as in his simple pitambar dhoti and garland round him, and just a peacock feather and a flute in his hand, and that's just how they love him. Amazing.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to do the instructions?
Yes, please.
Then?
Go for it.
Why so mindful?
Good.
Okay, 61. Then we should realize from this chapter the unlimited potencies of the Lord by the way he reciprocates with each of his 16,108 wives, and the sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters. And he had amazing family, but and how Pradyumna is obviously the first son from Rukmini, and sometimes even Lord Brahma cannot comprehend this, all these pastimes. And the way Lord Balaram deals with Rukmi when he insults him and his king associates, because Rukmi had all these king associates whom actually Balaram deals with, and they all flee in all directions, But when they were as kings, they're proudly showing off their prowess and their so-called opulence. And his king associated with Krishna but Krishna is remaining unbiased in all this. He's not even taking any sides with Balaram or anyone. He says, "I don't want to upset Rukmini or Rukmi, or let them just deal with this." There's a section, the purport, which are quite worth noting. There are some conventions that we have to try to follow and all that, but we should note that contrary to certain prohibitions quoted above, there's some prohibitions like prohibited to do certain things, but one may not give up the basic principles of spiritual life merely because such principles are unpopular with people in general. So as Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, the Sarva Dharman Parityajay Mamekam Sharanam Braj, the last word in spiritual duties is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. And that duty takes precedence over all secondary injunctions. Moreover, in this age, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has kindly presented a sublime process which will attract all sincere people to come to the point of surrendering to the Lord. By following Lord Chaitanya's blissful process of chanting, dancing, feasting, and discussing spiritual philosophy, anyone can easily go back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So we don't need to, be making things very complicated. Just follow Lord Chaitanya's formula here. Just chant whenever we can. and dance and feast. Well, there we are. Thank you, Haribo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Surinder, anything you'd like to add?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Nitai Gaur Haribol. Yes, very interesting Krishna Katha Prabhu, very transcendental knowledge and well explained by you and all the devotees. Yes, very interesting. And also we would like to bow down to our universal mothers, Rukmini Devi, Bhama Devi, and Jamavati, and other wives of Lord Shri Krishna. They are our universal mother. And we beg a drop of mercy from them because they are greatly advanced devotees. They are serving Krishna in Swakiya Ras. And pure devotional service, it starts from Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is serving in Santaras. And in spiritual gradation, if we try to understand the spiritual gradation with different devotees, spiritual realization, like there is Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Prahlada and Hanuman. We can understand that on the lower level is Lord Brahma. He is practicing Karma Mishra Bhakti. Means his bhakti is not pure, is a bit tinged with karma, in the sense that he wants some sense gratification. And then above him is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also is not practicing pure devotional service. His devotional service is described as Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Means his devotional service is mixed with Jnana. And above Lord Shiva is Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is devotional service, is pure devotional service, and is serving Lord Krishna and Lord Nrsimhadev in Santaras. Above Prahlad Maharaj is Hanuman. Hanuman is serving in Dasharas, is serving Lord Ramachandra. And above like that, it describes like there is Arjuna serving in Saksharas. And above Arjuna Saksharas, there is Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, Vatsalya Ras. And above Vatsalya Ras, there is Madhura Ras. And in Madhura Ras, first comes Swakiya Ras, the married wives of Lord Shri Krishna. We beg the mercy to get a drop of pure Krishna consciousness. And then above Swakiya Ras, there is Parakiya Ras, headed by Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in Prem Dham Deva Stotram, it explains, Dasya Saksha Vatsya Kanta Sevanotarotaram Shrestha Parakiya Radhikangri Bhakti Sundaram Sri Vraja Swasidha Divya Kama Krishna Tatparam Prema Dham Deva Mevanomi Gaura Sundaram. In this way, it is explained like Radharani's Parakiya Ras Bhav is topmost. And also Prahlad Maharaj Bhakti is Santaras. So therefore in Prem Dham Deva Stotram is explained, Santa Mukta Bhritya Tripta Mitra Mata Darshitam Snigdha Mugdha Shishta Mishta Shushta Kunta Harshitam Tantra Mukta Vamya Raga Sarva Seva Notaram Prema Dhama Deva Meva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. Like that, so Prahlad Maharaj worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev is just beginning a pure devotional service in Santaras, neutral relationship. Therefore, our devotional service, we can understand we are very, very far away from pure devotional service. We are very fallen conditioned souls. We cannot even control our senses and mind. We are always haunted with lust, anger, greed, madness, delusion, envy, and pride. Therefore, we beg all the Vaishnavas for a drop of mercy to be able to practice Krishna consciousness properly, to be able to reach to the point of chanting Sudhanam and practice Sudha Bhakti. This is our prayer, Prabhu. Nitai Gaura Haribol. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. Very good, Surendra Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
philosophy, good analysis. So unless there's any questions or comments, we can go to Lord Nrsimhadev's prayers and seek his protection. so that we can continue serving Radha and Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.